Okay, so we're going to be tackling the repair order as we discussed in class, and I want to go over some of the blocks and columns on the repair order with you before you start entering some of that information. I know we did it in class, but just to kind of reinforce what it is that we've done. We want to remember that the repair order is a document for the technician to work off of. This is what you're going to be handed when you go out into the service facility to make any repairs to a vehicle. Of course, we know already that we need to fill in this top box to complete the repair order, and we always begin with the customer's name, the address, where they live, and we put the contact number in there. And I say contact number because we want to make sure that we get a telephone number where we can reach the customer. That's critical. And of course the date. We always ask the customer when they'd like to pick their vehicle up. In this case I entered 9 a.m. and of course I initialed it because I'm the one who's writing the repair order. I checked off the box oil change because that's what the customer is going to want, and that's what we're doing here for our exercise is an oil change. And I asked you to go ahead and research the cost of some of these parts. So over in this column, this is going to be our parts description. Of course, we have quantity. QTY is quantity. How many? Say, for example, we're doing an oil change on this one. So there would be a quantity of one oil filter, and we're going to go ahead and put that part number in there for the oil filter. Now, normally, when servicing a customer's vehicle, we would not enter that part number, and I'll discuss that with you later as to why. And of course, we'll put that price in there. Engine oil, whatever the quantity is going to be. In this case, it's going to be 5, and of course, we'll write in the oil weight, and then we'll enter that price as well. Once we have all parts that we've used, we're just going to go ahead and add those up, drop those down to the bottom row here. And of course, then we'll add in our labor, and we'll move right down the columns. So anyway, on our repair order, it does have estimated costs of parts, labor, and what that total would be. So for us, we're going to be doing an oil change, as I said. And we've given that customer an estimate of $29.95. If you'd like, you can write that right down in here in estimated costs. And I'm going to $29.95. And before that customer leaves, we'll go ahead and have the customer sign it, which I've already done just for the video. Sign it, date it. Of course, you get the keys to the customer's vehicle and any other additional questions that you might have for that customer. So let's say that we've gone ahead and we've taken our repair order out to the shop with us, and you as the technician might be required to fill this repair order in. And so what I've gotten is I went to AutoZone.com and I got their information for oil and an oil filter. Along with, I'm going to change this up here for you, along with, I did a printout from All Data as to what the original equipment part is, the price of that original equipment part. We're not going to be using that. We're going to be using aftermarket parts, as I said, AutoZone. And of course, I have labor up here, manufacturer warranty and standard warranty. And that could be a little bit confusing. If you're at a dealership, you're going to go off the manufacturer's warranty. Aftermarket repair facilities go off of the standard labor time. And in this case, you're going to see that they're the same. You're getting 15 minutes to replace the oil filter. And of course, the note down here says to change the oil, add another 2/10. So, all told, you're getting 25 minutes. To do that job, and that includes bringing the vehicle in, doing the service of the vehicle, and of course parking it back out into the lot, returning the keys to the service desk. So 25 minutes, we want to keep that time frame in mind. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter in the parts information that I found, which of course is my oil filter, and my quantity is going to be 1. And you're going to notice on the oil filter that there's two costs on my sheet here. I have cost and I have list. These are a few terms that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. Cost is what the repair shop is going to pay for the part. List is the suggested price that that shop sell it to the customer for. And as you can see, just on a quart of oil, there is a difference. It costs us $2.78 a quart, and we can sell it for $5.56. Now, that doesn't mean that the shop has to sell it for $5.56 a quart. We could bring that cost down to $3, okay, and in which case we're making about 25% profit on each quart of oil. Every shop's going to be different as to what they mark their parts up at, okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to keep it under that $29.95 because that's what we quoted the customer. If you remember, $29.95, and of course this is an estimate, and we cannot exceed that initial estimate by 10%. Okay, so for example, we'll say $30, rounded to $30, and if we were to exceed that by 10%, we could only go up to $33. Anything above that 10%, you'll have to contact the customer and get approval. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little later in class. But back to the repair order, I'm choosing to sell my oil not at what the parts store has suggested the list at, but I'm going to sell it rather for $3.50 a quart. So I've got, first I'll put my oil filter in, which cost us $3.28. List on it is $6.56. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell that for, we'll sell it for $5. Okay. And of course the engine oil, back to that, I have a quantity of 5, and I look that up in all data under capacities to see how much fluid that engine's going to hold. So, and it's a 5W30 is the weight, and I'm going to choose to sell my oil for, if I paid $2.78 for it, I'm going to mark it up a little bit to, we'll mark it up to, we'll make it $3.50 a quart. I think that's fairly reasonable. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these items over, seeing as how there was only one oil filter. I'll go ahead and I'll move that over to here. Okay, there was only one of those. And of course, we have 5 quarts of engine oil. So if I multiply $3.50 times 5, I come up with $17.50. Okay, and those are all the parts that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to drag those down. Okay, and I come up with $22.50. Okay, is going to be my total for parts. All right, and I can go ahead and enter that in over here as well, where it says parts total. Okay. Now what I need to do to find my labor, because remember we quoted the customer $29.95. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my $29.95 and subtract $22.50, and that's going to give me my labor total, which my labor came out to be $7.45. Okay. And now if I add those two together, okay, and I want you to put that in that column right here, we should come up with our $29.95. Okay, and you see that we have that. Okay, there's not much labor, okay, on there, but remember, the repair facility did make some money in the parts. So, we're going to make a couple dollars on the parts and the labor. Some might be shocked at that, but remember, the cost of doing business, we have to pay the employee salaries, lights, electricity, all that good stuff that goes into it. And of course, we're not charging for any of the the grease that goes into the vehicle. That's all embedded into that $29.95. Last thing we have to do is we're going to have to add sales tax to it. And right now, because we're in Cuyahoga County, that's 7.75%. So what we'll do is we'll take our $29.95 and we'll add that 7.75%. So times 7.75 percent, and we come up with $2.32. Okay, and then we're going to want to add those numbers together. 5 plus 232, and we come up with $32.27. Okay, and I always like to add in here, or write in here rather, what it is that we did. I'll just put LOF, which stands for Lube Oil and Filter Service. Okay, you have to add the sales tax in. That does not, include that $29.95. We're not exceeding that 10%. Sales tax is separate. But that's what I want you to do for the repair order. So on every repair order that I have you do, you're going to have to go to your SI, and you're going to have to get a labor time, okay, of how long it takes, and take that labor time and put it in here just for our exercise. And as you recall, to change the oil filter is 3/10, and of course to change the oil itself it calls for 2/10, so we have a total of 0.5. Okay, 5/10, and if you also recall, our shop labor rate, okay, was $80 an hour. And on this one, we're really not going to go off that $80 an hour shop labor rate. This is what we call a canned job. Okay, usually the labor rate only comes into play when we're doing jobs like diagnostic work, trying to find electrical problems and such. But for this one, it's a flat fee, $29.95 plus tax. And that's how you're going to be doing your service orders from here on in, and pretty much every shop's going to go the same way. So I hope this video helps, and good luck with writing repair orders.